Today, we are going to talk about why overlearning is ultimately stunting your growth.
This one's a simple one, maybe a short episode, but a lot of marketers and even entrepreneurs have this issue that they always want to continually read and regurgitate everything that they're learning. And that's fine. But if you're not actually focusing on implementing what you're learning, you're just wasting a ton of time. By all means, go and learn. But when you learn something, use it, implement it. It's useless to continually learn tons of stuff and never use any of it. The purpose of learning is to try to understand it and then implement it and actually get a real good understanding of how it works. And you can't get a good understanding of how something works unless you actually use it and implement it.
Yeah. I mean, my dad used to quote, I don't know if you ever heard this phrase, professional students. It's basically students that go to college forever. They just keep, adding on. At the end of the day, you learn to gain wisdom, and wisdom is ultimately experience. And you use that wisdom, that experience to kind of sidestep mistakes and ultimately fast track your growth. And so the best way to do it, we talked about trial by fire or learning by doing. You're ultimately, it really just doesn't matter how much you learn about like physics or let's use Elon as an example, right? Love him or hate him, you think about physics. He's had to learn physics on his own, right? And then eventually, like he learned, literally rocket science, right? And so, but he had to start to implement. He had to make a lot of mistakes, and the first 3 launches for SpaceX didn't work out. I think it was the first 3, and the 4th one worked out, or maybe it was the 3rd one that worked out. But if it didn't work out, like he would have gone bankrupt. But he was ultimately out there, in the trenches, fighting and doing right. I think the reason why we're talking about this too is we've done thousands and thousands of episodes on this podcast already. And ultimately, you might be saying, oh my God, you guys are talking about the same things over and over. Yeah, we are talking about the same things over and over in a lot of cases because these are fundamental concepts, but you actually have to go out there and you have to do. And once you do, then you might be like, oh, those concepts, like I've leveled up past those concepts. Maybe we don't need to talk about you don't need the basic learnings that we put out, because our goal for this podcast is to educate not only the intermediate and advanced people, but also the beginners as well. So that's also part of the reason why I wanted to do this podcast. Neil?
Yeah, no, I think we pretty much said everything that was important about overlearning and not implementing. So go out there. We appreciate you listening to Marketing School, but for the next few days, go take some action.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I mean, when you think about like Tinder or Bumble, right, their goal is to get you, I mean, ideally to not use the apps anymore, because once you found, the one, then you don't need to hop on the apps anymore, right? We kind of want to do this too. We prefer you to take action. And those of you that have gotten really good results, we've seen over the years, people be like, oh, like we actually made our first $1 million, or like our business was stuck before, and then, we just made like 200 grand in, the last, month or whatever. Like that's the kind of stuff that we want to see, where you no longer feel like you need this pod, right? By the way, we're going to continue to share our learnings like on ChatGPT or like, what we're finding with like Office Space, like in the last couple of episodes. We're going to keep learning. We're going to keep doing business because we think it's fun, but we want to make sure that we can help as many people as possible. So that is it for today. Please don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and we'll catch you later.